This brings us to our favourite segment of the week, the top 5. You can check out our top 5s on our social at Jon-Bernard K, at the JBK Show this week. All our tips and picks as well at Picklebet. But our top 5 this week, in light of the West Tigers' biggest upset of last week, top 5 upsets of all time.
Top 5 upsets in sports history.
Starting with number 5, the Queensland Origin team in 2020 was one of the biggest upset series I've ever seen in recent history. A group of players that were replacement players that would not be picked in today's age, like with the amount of talent that Queensland have. Like, Jaden, who was picked in this team?
So we've got squad players such as Corey Allen, Jake Friend, Heimel Hunt, Josh Kerr, Dynamis Louis, Philip Sammy, and Brenko and Edric Lee.
So Wayne Bennett, one of the greatest coaches of all time, took a team of replacement players and beat a New South Wales team. Yes, that had injuries, but was a much better squad on paper.
He's doing the same thing this year with the Dolphins.
But I mean, if you looked at that 2020 teams, if you looked at the 2020 teams on paper, even though New South Wales had some injuries, New South Wales should have won that series. And with players like Edric Lee, Brenko Lee, Philip Sammy, Corey Allen,
Dynamis Louis,
players that you wouldn't even think would represent Origin, would represent Queensland in
the
Origin.
back rower as well? Sorry,
You had Ethan Lowe in there as well.
Ethan Lowe getting almost man of the series from New South Wales Cup.
Well past his prime as
And
well.
you got to credit Wayne Bennett there, who got the job done for him as well. But that had to be one of the biggest upsets in Origin history, and that's why it's number 5.
At number 4, we have disagreed here, so we'll both be saying a number 4.
Yeah.
But at my number 4, I've gone with Greece winning the 2004 Euros, paying 151 to 1 going into the tournament. Every Greek person you know, every Malacca talks about this like it was Jesus Christ coming back from the dead. They upset France in the knockout stages. Then they beat host nation Portugal in the final. And I think we've had this before. Every Greek restaurant now has a Euro 2004 special, strictly because of how significant this upset was.
The Greeks don't have a lot going for them. Their economy's in the toilet. Everyone just goes over there in July to have a holiday. They needed this in 2004. And like you said, every time you go get a Euros or something like that, or a Savlaki, they've got the 2004 Euro special on the menu because they live for this. And it was, but we couldn't really split it. My number 4 went to Holly Holm knocking out Ronda Rousey in Melbourne at a massive UFC event. At the time, it was one of the biggest upsets in combat sport. Ronda Rousey was going on a run. She was taking everyone's name, had all the confidence in the world, one of the best in jiu-jitsu. But she got absolutely knocked out by Holly Holm. I think she was paying $1.07 favourite, Ronda Rousey.
$1.05.
$1.05 favourite, and gets knocked out clean by Holly Holm, who didn't have a lot behind her. She wasn't a knockout artist. She was a champion boxer, and knocks her out on one of the biggest stages it was in Melbourne. So in recent memory, that had to be one of the biggest upsets for me.
She was undefeated going into this fight. And I think all the fights were like round 1 finishes. So she was getting it done pretty quickly.
Just before this fight as well, you had male UFC fighters coming out saying, "I don't want to fight Ronda Rousey." So she was feared across the full UFC roster. And then Holly Holm came out, her mother Holly Holm came out and dismantled her.
Yeah, Holly Holmes was treating her like a boxing bag, just having fun with her.
She had the Irish spirit in her. Who's your number 3?
At number 3, I've gone with Saudi Arabia beating Messi's Argentina in the most recent World Cup. Now, everyone did not expect this. We were at the World Cup. We saw these Saudi fans going crazy.
Absolutely nuts.
To beat them, I think they were down 1-0, then come back and won 2-1. And I think the reaction from the princes in Saudi Arabia and the fans was what made this such a big upset. The way they treated it, beating Messi, who actually went on to win the World Cup, just made it all the more special.
It was a crazy round 1 in the World
stage.
Cup.
Yeah. Prince Mohammed bin Salman.
What's the pronunciation? So it was Prince Mohammed bin Salman gifted the team Rolls Royces. Yeah. Right, that's how much it meant to them. The whole team, the full squad, got a fleet of Rolls Royces to celebrate the upset.
And there was a public holiday as well.
And now in Saudi Arabia, they celebrate a public holiday.
I think the Rolls Royces, that's not a cheap car. So for that, just shows you how big of significance this win was for them.
Number 2, I'm going a throwback to some classic boxing. Buster Douglas upsetting Mike Tyson. Now, no one thought Mike Tyson was going to be dealt this loss. At the time, he had a record. What was his record? That was like
record 37-0 with 33 knockouts.
37-0, 33 knockouts. This was just supposed to be another fight to pat Mike Tyson's stats. He wasn't a betting favourite at all either.
Buster Douglas was paying 42 to 1. And if you go back, 1990, Mike Tyson, scariest person on the planet.
Yeah, baddest man on the planet.
33 knockouts. People were running scared. No one wanted to fight him. Buster Douglas was, I think, not a no-name, but he wasn't a household name fighting Mike Tyson, so no one really gave him a shot in Moscow.
Yeah, the fight took place in Moscow. He stopped Mike Tyson in the 10th round, and it goes down in history as one of the biggest upsets of all time.
Only succeeded by, number one, Leicester City winning the Premier League in 2016.
Yep.
Coming into that season, no one even remotely thought that they were a team that could compete. Looking at the Premier League, they've got the big six clubs, and I think going back to 1994, only Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester City and Manchester United and Arsenal had won the Premier League. So for a no-name club, Leicester City, to come out of nowhere and win the league, it's one of the biggest upsets of all time.
I've got some stats here for you. So Leicester City at the start of the season were 5,000 to 1.
5,000
in
to 1.
betting odds, 5,000 to 1. Leicester's team was worth a combined value of 28.2 million euro, opposed to Man City the same year at 910 mil euro.
And I think this year we found out they were paying overs for everyone at Man City as well.
To put that into perspective of how ridiculous that is, Haaland at Man City this year's worth is his current value is 170 million, which is 6 times more than that full Leicester City team.
And if you look at the players, in hindsight, yes, N'Golo Kante, Jamie Vardy, Riyad Mahrez, they're world-class players.
But no one was saying it at the time when they were paying 5,000 to 1 to win the Premier League.
And I think betting on them is as good as investing in Bitcoin. That's what the return was. So Leicester City, easy, the biggest upset of all time, winning the Premier League, and I think it probably will never be done again. A squad outside of the big six clubs winning a Premier League.
Well, that's our list for the top 5 biggest sporting upsets of all time. You can check out our top 5s on our socials at Jon-Bernard K and at Picklebet, at Pickle Studios on TikTok as well. Great top 5, and we had to give our respect to the Tigers. I mean, they get an honourable mention on that list. They probably ruined everyone's multi last week when they beat Penrith. Yeah. Like Penrith, again, we're $1.12.
Bro, at half-time, Penrith were $1.07.
Yeah, so full credit to the Tigers. Ruined everyone's multi, but I reckon they fit in the top 10 as one of the biggest upsets of all time.
Is there a documentary, Leicester City, yet?
No, they're coming out soon.
I think, they'll be making a documentary on Leicester City winning the Premier League, for sure. But that's our top 5 for the week.